everyone, I'm Jaina and I'm from Vaslo Bharosa. As you all might know or you don't know, Vaslo Bharosa is asking for announcement systems and laminated posters inside TSRTC buses against sexual harassment at Hyderabad. And talking about sexual harassment, I would like to bring your attention to a report which says that one third of all adolescent girls have fear, unwelcome touching, or stalking in public spaces. And that is just the case with adolescent girls. Imagine what is the case with women out there, gender queer people out there, who have to face it on a daily basis. And the scars sexual harassment leaves us are always there. They stay with us throughout our lives. They are invisible, but they cannot be forgotten easily. And today is International Self Care Day. Self care is something which is not something you do just one day or one time. It is something you need to keep doing every single day. It needs to be done 24 into 7, 365 days a year. And today we have with us, on the occasion of International Self Care Day, we have Amina ma'am. And Amina ma'am would be talking to us about.
Um, Amina Hussain ma'am is a senior counseling psychologist who specializes in counseling women and children. Through her Calm for You Foundation, she is helping young girls overcome fear and bias, and she is also tutoring them to defend themselves. She is a Margdarshak with Telangana Police, and she is a sitting member of internal committees where she deals with cases related to sexual harassment at workplace. Hi, ma'am. We are very
Hi,
excited to
Jenna. Hi, Jenna. Yeah, really, really excited. Thank you so
yes,
much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm so glad you've brought attention to a problem which is not very obvious to everybody. We
yes,
trivialize
ma'am.
it. We tend to trivialize it. Yeah, please carry
Yes.
on. Yeah.
Yes. So since today is International Self-Care Day, and we are asking for a cause related to sexual harassment. Amina ma'am would be talking to us about sexual harassment and self-care. So, Amina ma'am,
Yeah.
firstly, I would like to ask you, what do you think sexual harassment in public spaces looks like?
First of all, what is sexual harassment? It is an action within men or women. So it is an action within men or women. It is an unwelcome action. See, there is a difference between sexual activity and sexual harassment. So when it is harassment, it becomes unwelcome. That is the first defining factor. It is unwelcome sexual activity or some action within men and women. In public places, it's characterized by, say, teasing, groping, winking, catcalling, kissing noises, passing comments, passing vulgar comments, sexual comments, then touching the body parts like patting on the buttocks, squeezing breasts, holding at the stomach and trying to grope you between your legs. So this is all which is characterized. It may not be a severe thing like sexual assault, but it definitely, the moment somebody rubs himself against your backside, it it creates so much of anguish within you. So this sort of a thing which people get away with. Why does this happen actually? Because they can get away with it easily. It's in an overcrowded bus or in an empty train. These potential perpetrators, these people, they keep looking. There are four men standing behind you, for example. You're traveling in an overcrowded bus and there are four men standing. If somebody gropes you from behind, the moment you turn around, all men, I'm talking generally with men and women, like you said, there could be transgenders, queers, everybody, even men get sexually harassed. But most often it is women and girls. When you turn around and see these four men, they have a silent solidarity with each other. Nobody will point out to that person who has done the wrong thing. So you cannot really point out who was the perpetrator. So this allows them to become bold. This allows them to become confident. We will not be tracked. We cannot pinpoint the perpetrator. And suitable targets are all over the place. Women have to travel, isn't it? We have to go about our work. So there are potential perpetrators, there are suitable targets. And then there is a lack of a guiding factor. What is the guiding factor? There are no laws for this. So this enables them. There is no proper law. Even the Nirbhaya Act, once they had it in 2018, they amended it. But there is nothing related to harassment at public places. So this becomes a very strong point with them. They know they will not be caught. They know there are, potential victims out there, and they know nothing will happen. If you try to tell somebody, suppose somebody gropes you from behind, you try to go and tell somebody, the first thing they'll say is, they'll take it as a joke. Some people even have the audacity to tell you to take it as a compliment.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happens? Women, they don't speak out, and then they have this fear that this person may retaliate in even more serious manner. So they know women are not going to speak out. So all these things creates an atmosphere of a lot of sexual harassment in public places, especially overcrowded buses, empty trains. These are the potential places, bus stands, because you have to stand there, you have to wait for the bus, and they know it is a regular bus. You go to school and all that, they know you have to wait there, they know where you get up, where you get into the bus, where you will get down, all. So this is an environment created for potential sexual harassment. So it could look like anything, just pulling your scarf away, pulling your bag, slowly coming from behind, putting your hand over your shoulder, and then when you look back, and then he looks somewhere else. So how do you catch him? That is how it looks like in the public places. It could happen anywhere, shopping malls, restaurants, transport, anywhere it could happen. So these are the things. The motivated offender is there. Why is he motivated? Because he'll never be caught. He knows I will not be caught. Nobody is going to say anything. Potential suitable target is always there, readily available. And then absence of some capable guardian like a proper law, or somebody who can stand up and say, yes, you're wrong. So all these things, all these factors put together, and the unwillingness of women, because we live in a society where we trivialize, we tend to put it down. You just say, oh, that's nothing, that's normal. You go and tell anybody, this is what happened. Chalta, wo to hote rehta. I've heard even mothers telling their daughters, why don't you stand away? The first thing we say is, why do you have to go and stand at the back near the men? Why don't you stand in front? When I was traveling, there were times that I used to hold on to almost the rod at the end, because once you move inside, you don't know where you will be groped. So the first thing we do is blame the victim, and we trivialize it. Or if you want to keep going, you have to bear all this. It is not considered a crime or something which hurts a person at all. That is the main problem. We have to change our mindsets. That's how it looks in public places. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. You very aptly said that how it has been so trivialized that it does not even feel like a crime.
Doesn't feel like a crime. Yeah. Yes, and what happens when we trivialize it? It reinforces the problem. It motivates the offenders all the more. People are taking it light. If he says, if you tell a co-passenger, this guy is holding me to, first thing you'll say is, come forward, don't sit, don't go with him. They'll not say, why are you doing it? They'll tell the girl, come and stand in front, or come and sit in front, or move away from there. So they get all the more. So next time another girl comes and stands, oh yes, nobody is going to say anything to me. That much of trivialization is done. So the offenders are getting motivated day by day. It's reinforcing. We trivializing it is reinforcing the crime.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Yeah. So
that is why, we can say that every Indian woman must have heard sometimes in her life that you need to wear dupattas and don't step out after 7. Just like how Hima has pointed out in the comments.
Absolutely.
That is how.
Absolutely. That is the first thing we tell our daughters, the first thing we tell our ladies at home, whoever it is, your sisters or whoever it is. After saying everything, no, even we, for that matter, I have caught myself, I'm very sorry, ashamed to say, so many times, no, don't do this, don't do that, they shouldn't be doing this, it's okay, you can. And then at the end of the day, see, but you have to take your own care. That is the bottom line we tell our girls. But you need to be a little careful. You don't go out. Huh? Then I reiterate myself. I keep telling myself, I justify myself. Say, even if it was a boy, I would say the same thing. I justify it to myself. But then that fear that what will happen to the girl is always there. So we keep telling her, you be careful, men are going to. We have to change this mindset. We have to, each and everything that insults the modesty of a woman has to be called out. It has to be condemned. It has to be booked as a crime. So when there are big crimes like Nirbhaya case and things like that, which are trivialized in our country, it's so difficult. We need to change. So we have to do something about it. The policy has to be changed. Yeah.
And we as women have often internalized it so much. Just as how Pari has pointed out.
Don't even talk about the internalization. The first thing that happens if somebody, you look at your dress, you look at yourself. कहीं कुछ बटन तो नहीं खुल गया, कहीं कुछ पीछे slip तो नहीं हो गया. The first thing you start doubting yourself. You will not think, why is this guy doing this to me? Who the hell is he? No. First thing is look at yourself. Did my dupatta slip? Is my bra showing? These are the things we keep looking for. Immediately, we have internalized it to that extent.
Talking about all these feelings, what do you think are the general feelings women have when they are being sexually harassed or after having been sexually harassed?
See the impact. First of all, the impact is there on. We think, what is there? Like I said, because we trivialize it so much. Haath lagane se kya hota? Many people, he touched you. Okay, forget it, yaar. Aur kya? This keeps happening. But what is the impact? There is a psychological impact. There is a physical impact, and there is a vocational impact also. We don't realize this is. So what are the physiological, that is the physical impact that you have? You can start getting a rash, If somebody you don't like, unwelcome behavior is there and he touches you, you can start having dermatological problems. You can have sleep disturbances because when you sleep, you get that feeling, tomorrow morning you have to wake up and go in the travel in the bus again, I have to go to college. I hope that guy doesn't come. You have a sleep disturbance there. You start thinking. So it affects your sleep schedule. It affects your health. This is what happened. And then phobias. The moment you see somebody coming near you, you start panicking. Are ye aake kuch haath to nahi lagayega mujhe. That panic starts happening. So this is a physical reaction that you give, physical impact you have. Psychological impact, I told you, you start feeling guilty. First thing, we'll check our clothes. We'll check our bag. Arey, wo t-shirt thoda tight tha. I shouldn't have worn it. Mummy was telling me don't wear that. First, we start doubting ourselves. Self-blame. I don't know why I had to go and stand right at the, behind at the bus. I should have gotten from the ladies. In Telangana, we have, ladies get in from the front and men get in from the back. Chalo, bus nikal jata bolke, why did I get in through the back? I shouldn't have gotten there. Blame yourself first. So what? Men keep climbing in from in the front of the bus all the time. Why do we feel so bad if we climb in from behind once? So this self-blame. Then anger. Because of the helplessness. We don't know what to do. We don't want it. It's unwelcome. You want to call it out, but you don't know whom to call it out, what to say. In an overcrowded bus, even if you say, "Arey, this guy is looking at me," everybody's turning the other way. Somebody has their earphones on. Somebody's looking at their phone. Nobody's bothered. So the anger, the fear, the insecurity. First of all, these are the psychological impact that you have, right? And then there could be career-related, vocational issues also. You'll start changing your routes. And if you say this keeps happening on a regular basis, you'll think, why should I go so far from my job? Why not I take up a job somewhere close by where I don't have to commute in a bus? So what are you doing? You're crushing your dreams. You're crushing your aspirations. Your economic level is going down. Chalo, 2,000 rupees kam hai to hai. I'll go nearby. It's okay. There is no growth here much, but it's okay. At least I'll be spared of this agony of, going through this every day. So your career-related problems. You may even change your educational program also. Maybe you're going to do some sort of a course there. You're doing your computers course there. Chodo nahi to nahi computers. I'll take up something else. I'll study history. you compromise. You don't know where it compromises on your career also. So not only your physical, your psychological, career related, vocationally also, you are at a loss because of this regular harassment that is taking place. And then more importantly, we lose faith in society, because you seen that when you called out, nobody has come, nobody has stood up for you, nobody has said what is happening. Even sometimes a bystander's sympathetic look, when you say this guy here is trying to grope me, and somebody looks at you, is it, oh, is that happening? Even if they give you that sort of a look, that will be encouragement for you. But we don't get even that sort of a look. People turn the other way, they don't want to get involved. So the fear of society, fear of men. Why should you have fear of men? How are you going to live your life? How are you going to get married and live with a man and then raise sons, daughters, whatever, if you have a fear of man? This will perpetuate a fear of man in you. So fear of society, fear of man. See how much of trauma it is building up. So all that you'll carry it all your life. You're going out somewhere, you have to go out to some public place or something. Oh no, let me not go there. I don't know what will happen. I don't want to go through that again. So that fear of public places. Then what happens? You can't, your freedom is curtailed. You cannot move around freely. So we start thinking you are not 100%. Now, suppose you are a girl who sits in a bus and every day you're going, and the school buses, another school bus is crossing your way. And you have this habit, wow, wave out to the children, make happy faces, and probably, smile at them, give them a thumbs up, something like that. Maybe you cross every day. Now, once some sort of a harassment happens to you, and somebody tells you, oh, were you smiling? Were you talking too much or something? What happens? You stop doing that. You are not being authentic. You are not being your true self. You start holding yourself back. The bus is going and then you say, no, if somebody sees me waving and all, it will give the wrong message. I better not do that. You're killing your personality. It may be a small thing. It may sound very small, but your personality. Then you stop looking and then you look longingly at those children going by. Oh, every day I would wave. See, it creates sadness in you. It starts, you start getting depressed because you're not able to do what comes to you naturally. Just because you don't want somebody to comment or somebody to laugh at you or to put you down or humiliate you. Right? See the impact it has, small sort of things which have impact. Then emotional harm. When this sort of an emotional harm comes, or if you want to call out and these four men, like I said, they turn around and say, what happened? Why are you shouting? It creates emotional disturbance. You start trembling. You start getting nervous. Your rapid heartbeat starts. You start getting a stomach ache. You start getting a headache. You don't know what to say. And if you say something, you're afraid. And then one guy, he'll say, what are you trying to tell me? You come, I'll show you. Tomorrow when you get down your house, I'll show you. And that is in your mind. He may just say it casually. Whether he means it or not, we don't know. But then how does it affect you emotionally? See the impact, small things. So the impact is terrible when it happens. So we have to save ourselves from this sort of an impact. And harassment, and it not only a woman's social rights taken away, it reduces all her economic opportunities, like I told you. Now, what are the feelings? Coming back to your question, you asked me, what are the feelings? The feelings can range. It can be simple irritation to extreme depression. It could be just a simple irritation. Chiller fellow, every day he keeps doing this, a loose fellow. I'm not going to trouble myself. From there, if it continues, it can go up to extreme depression also. You lose your self-esteem. Why do you lose your self-esteem? I'm not able to stand up and talk to somebody who's done something wrong to me. All my lessons, all the women empowerment, everything that I'm going through, that guy, takes it as his privilege to grope me, and I can't turn around and tell him, keep your hands to yourself. So your self-esteem is totally gone. You lose confidence in yourself. Why? Because of all these things on your head. I don't know who it is. Nobody is going to support me. They'll say, "Arey, utna hi hua na, aisa kya hua? What are you creating a scene as if somebody raped you?" This is how they're going to answer. You don't want to hear that. You have to educate them. Okay, it may not be sexual assault, but this is also an assault on my body. So
Yeah.
all these
It
things
is
are,
violent.
it is violating your modesty. So all these things are playing on your mind. So your self-esteem, you lose your self-esteem. So what happens? You're unable to concentrate on your tasks. You're unable to stick to your goals. It's playing in your mind. I should have done something. Why did I not do it? Why do I not have this control? What does he mean by doing that? Why does he think he can do that? All these thoughts are going on. So you're not able to concentrate on your tasks. So what are the feelings there? You're losing your self-confidence. You're angry. You're sad. You feel humiliated. You feel degraded. How can he use me like that? Do I go around groping people? Do I go around groping men? What does he think he can do? All these things are going on in your mind. So you want to retaliate. Sometimes it goes to the extent, I'll tell my brother and tell him, I'll take revenge on this guy. See? Hatred, feelings of hatred. So that goes up, revenge. Or you can also get scared. You can get demotivated. Better not go. Better not. Nay, I will do distance learning kar lungi, but I don't want to travel at all. I'll sit at home and join in a distance learning class. I'll learn online. I don't want to go out. I don't want to step out. Totally demotivated. If somebody says, let's all go to that, that gym where or together, we'll go, no. I'll do my exercise at home, my YouTube. Dekh kar lungi. So much of demotivation. You're afraid to step out also. The experience, often when you get into an interpersonal conflict, what happens? Say you're facing somebody with whom you have a conflict, whether a friend or a family member, you get so agitated, isn't it? You want to defend yourself, you want to explain the situation, you want to sort out the problem. It's something like that. It's an interpersonal conflict. But there, you can't do anything about it. So it makes you feel low all the time. All the more you feel helpless. It's a helpless situation. You don't know what to do. So the feeling sometimes can drag you down totally.
Although this is something which many people don't consider to be a violence or even a crime.
That is the major, that is the saddest part. Because they don't want to accept, they don't even want to think. It's so easy. Like I said, it's totally trivialized. You need to. I was reading somewhere, one girl, a 22-year-old girl, went and told her mother that, I was groped in the bus today. So her mother looked at her up and down, and then she saw that her daughter was dressed properly in her standards. And she said, look, you got to learn to live with this. Now, where will that girl go? Not that the mother can do something. I don't say the mother will go and catch the offender and put him in jail or something like that. No. But where is the empathy that we have? Where do we say, yes, I understand your feeling. I understand what you're going through. So be careful next time. You take another bus, take another. So what happens, women, we take the safety network. Put earphones, put your head down and walk. Don't have eye contact with anybody. Take a different route. Take a different bus. So these are the things we work out by ourselves. Because we don't have any, like I said, no guardian, no support system. We can't tell anybody. So you work it out yourself. Oh, once I get that, okay, I will stay on for half an hour more in college or work, and then I'll go because that guy will go away in that earlier bus. You start working around, you start reorganizing your life as per his schedule, not your schedule. As per your perpetrator, you are changing your life. So this is what happened. These are all the feeling, the anxiety, the humiliation makes you do so many things which are not true to your nature. That's what.
And Priyanka has rightly pointed out. It becomes a cycle of oppression and harassment. A vicious cycle which keeps going on and on and on.
So because we are not able to do anything, they get all the more aggressive. And as they get more aggressive, the women get all the more submissive. So that cycle keeps going. And then as it is historically, there has always been male dominance over women. So this is another way. This is another way of proving themselves. They feel they are entitled. They're privileged. It is normal. Women are there to be objectified and do it. And then because of the what we have internalized, all the male dominance, we tend to keep quiet. Their dominance increases. They become more aggressive. We become more submissive. It is going on. That's it. So that cycle has to be broken. Like you said, the vicious cycle has to be broken somewhere. So you're doing a wonderful job trying to do that seriously. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, these are the feelings of the scared, the demotivation, sometimes wanting to take revenge. It's not a natural, it's not a healthy thought wanting to take revenge, isn't it? It's absolutely. So it's creating so much of unhealthy thoughts in your brain. So we need to deal with these thoughts also. Right?
Yes. So, ma'am, how
do
you
we deal?
feel we should deal with
How
it?
do we deal with these feelings? See, the first thing before self-care and how to take care, we need to first deal with it. We need to first identify the feeling. A very easy method I would suggest is write it down. The moment you go home or the moment you have some time, write down. I was traveling in so-and-so bus today. This guy, I'm sure it was this guy, describe him. He did this to me. You journal it. You write it down. And then you relate what happened. Just stick to the facts. You don't have to make it a story or anything. I got up in the bus. It was full, overcrowded. I went to the back. There were a group of men standing there. And one guy was, falling forward and rubbing his groin against me. I felt very angry. I felt humiliated. I felt used. Whatever you felt at that point, write it down. The moment you write your feelings down, the moment you relate that you narrate it in a book, you will start feeling better. Try it. Journaling all your thoughts, putting it down, and then write it down. After 15 minutes, just leave it. After 15 minutes, you'll feel much better. So first of all, you learn to cope with your feelings. You learn to understand. Then what do? After you write it down, keep it. And if you feel that, no, it's not out. If you want to write some more, write again. After 15 minutes, you want to write something, write again. You write it down and then you reflect again. Oh, so that happened. So I felt angry. Why did I get angry? What was my fault in that? Try to sort it out. When you write down, I felt, humiliated. So what is it that made me feel humiliated? His touching me. His thinking that he has access to me. His thinking that he can touch me as he wants. That humiliated me. What is my fault in this? And then you understand there is no fault of yours. You have to accept it. Accept it. This is what has happened. Maybe I will deal with it in some way, but none of this is my fault. When you write it down, you will understand it is not your fault. You have not done anything to provoke that. Okay, so you understand it, you recognize that emotion. So there is nothing wrong in feeling sad or feeling angry. If you are feeling sad, you feel like crying, cry it out. Have a good cry. If you are angry, you want to punch something, keep a punching bag, punch it out, remove all the cotton inside the punching bag. Punch it out, get the feeling out, whether it is sadness or anger or humiliation or whatever it is. Write it down, accept that this is the feeling that happened, and then you get it out. After that, reset. Recognize, accept, reset. Then reset yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's very important to be kind to yourself. We forget to be kind to ourselves. Like I told you, we have internalized. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I wore a tight pair of jeans. I wore a tight t-shirt or a short t-shirt. Or maybe today I decided to do without my bra. So maybe that's what attracted him. Stop all this nonsense. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. So write, recognize, accept, reset. Resetting is very important. So once you've journalized your experience, once you've reflected on that, reset your mind. So how do you reset? That is how you take care of yourself. So we need to recognize, respond, treat yourself. Suppose you have a close friend, a best friend, who comes and tells you, Jana, this is what happened. What would you tell her? How would you treat her? Sit down, have a cup of coffee, tell me what you felt. It's okay, we'll work. Do the same to yourself. You're doing it to your friend, to your best friend. You are your own best friend. Do the same to yourself. Treat yourself kindly. Treat yourself compassionately. Okay, let me go and have a cup of coffee. Right? So that is how you deal with it. Then comes the self-care. Last comes the self-care. So we've written down, we've identified, we've accepted, we have reset, and we want to now take care of ourselves. Right? So how do you take care?
Okay.
That's what you want to ask me how to take care. That was your
Yes, ma'am.
initial question. How can you try and take care of ourselves? After you journalize it, we said you should journal it. You have journaled it, you have written down, you have reset yourself. Share it with somebody whom you trust, who's close to you, who understands you. Don't go around telling the whole world. Like I said, nobody's going to empathize with you or understand you. So share it with somebody and close it. Close the issue. Share it, tell them this is what happened. I felt very bad, and I've decided, and there's no point. I cried a lot, and it has come out. So share it with a friend or someone, and then you stop ruminating. Don't go back and go on saying the same thing to everybody. The more you talk, people will come up with more and more ideas, and all the more. Share it with one or two people who are close to you, whom you trust. Then stop talking, stop telling the same story, and start focusing on the positives in your life. Focus on all the positives. Then practice gratitude. You have that one friend who shared it with you, who empathized with you, who understood you, with whom you could say. So practice gratitude. Affirmations, very important affirmations. I am not to blame. I am not responsible for this humiliation. So you must trust and believe in yourself. I am a good person. I don't believe in this. I will stand by anybody else if they are going through this. Affirmations to yourself. Stop believing what other people tell you. Oh, you wore a short kurta, you wore a tight jeans. No. Start believing in yourself. That is affirmations. Okay? Then you move on in life by creating a simple ritual. Create a simple ritual. Before all this happened, before this trauma happened, before you went through this thing, what gave you happiness? What gave you joy? What were the things that you enjoyed? What was the food that you liked, which made you feel nourished and happy? Go back to those routines. Create a simple routine for yourself. Okay? Go back to your hobby. For me, be in tune with yourself. For me, probably if I watch a comedy movie, that gets me back in. For you, maybe you may be playing a hard game of table tennis. So do whatever keeps you happy, keeps you energized. Make it a point to do that. Generally, when we are sad, what happens, or when we feel humiliated, we just tend to sit down and brood. It's human nature. We'll sit in one corner, nahi bhai, aaj kuch karna nahi hai. I'm feeling so bad, this all that. But push yourself to go into that routine which gave you happiness, which gave you all the confidence that you needed earlier. Get into that. Think of a time when you were very happy, when you were grounded. Who were the people you were with? What were the things you were doing? Try to go back and do the same things. Try to get your life in order. Your life is in order. Remember, you should not, like I told you, we start working around. Stop doing that. Get your life in order. Be in tune with yourself at every moment. Think about all these times. Then if you can read something inspirational, what gave you inspiration? Watching a movie or reading a book, or getting quotes on the website, or following somebody's life. Malala Yousafzai, somebody, whoever you find inspiration with, follow that, read. That will give you a lot of strength again. You can do these things and take care of yourself. Don't neglect your food. Don't neglect your activities. Don't neglect your friends. We tend to go into isolation. When something like this traumatic happens, you isolate yourself. I don't want to meet anybody. All people are bad. Even the friends who are boys, you will not want to meet them. Earlier you had a good rapport. But just because that incident happened, ladkon se to door hi rehna hai, if it is a girl. So stop doing that. If they stop, you should keep your trust. Don't stop trusting people. Okay? So take care of yourself. Toxic shame, self-blame. Try to avoid these things, and they can be extremely traumatic. So take enough care to find a routine for yourself. That's very important, sticking to a routine. If you have been going for a table tennis game, or if you've been going to the gym, continue doing that regularly. Don't stop anything in your routine work. Your routine should go on. That gives you clarity in your mind. Then every day, one thing that you can definitely do is, if you have to say one thing to yourself, what is the most loving thing that you would say to yourself? Not to your friend, not to your family, not to your dog. No. What is the most loving thing that you would say to yourself? Think of that. Think of that and say that to yourself. Oh, you have a beautiful smile, Jaina. Stand in. What is the most loving thing I would say to myself? Say it every day without fail. This goes for whether you're traumatized or not. When you're traumatized, all the more. Okay, say it to yourself. See, there is no time. There is no time limit. I should heal. I should learn, in 2 days, and then I should get back to normal. No, there is no time limit. It is a process which goes on. You should revel in the power that you're transforming adversity to victory. The adverse situation, with what or you are thinking, or your thoughts, or how you care yourself, you are transforming it to victory, from adversity to victory. So take power in that, revel in that power. I have the power to transform myself, my adversity to victory. I have the power to do that. I know I was in an adverse situation. I will now change it to victory. And look in the mirror, smile at yourself, tell your loving thing that you have a nice, beautiful smile. I have the power. I can change adversity to victory. And take care of yourself, and take it one step at a time. Do a self-care routine. What can I eat? What do I want to do? What is it that keeps me happy? And do it one step at a time. Follow that routine one step at a time. That will be give you a lot of confidence, build up your self-esteem again. Yeah. Any question?
Really,
Anything else?
these are really important points you said.
Yeah, very, very important.
One question was initially asked some time ago. All of this, it sounds a bit easier now. But when something happens, it is very difficult to deal with these feelings then. It is easier to say this, than doing this. What could we do in those moments where we are unable to, just move out of the bed? Sexual harassment is something which becomes very traumatic.
Yes.
So how can I, take that one small step? What is that one thing? Which,
that is what you have to tell that loving thing yourself. You have to. Self-care, that's what I said. There is no time limit. You can't say, I'll do it today and get over it. It takes baby steps. You need to do it. Continuously put an effort into it. See, for some people, like I told you, it's just a matter of irritation. Oh my God, I'll have to see that guy again. Chalo, forget him. But for some, it can become very depressing. It is differs from person to person. If you are that type of a person where it becomes extremely traumatic for you, you need to share it. You need to journal it. You need to share it. You need to write down a self-care routine. And then when you're getting up from bed, affirmations. I have done nothing wrong. I am not at fault. I have not. You need to keep affirming yourself. God will help me. I am a good person. You have to tell yourself, I am a good person. So, otherwise people say, how can you keep telling yourself, I'm a good person? Of course. Aren't you a good person? You are a good person. I am a good person. I will not let this affect my self-esteem. I am not defined by what somebody did to me. I am not defined by that. I am defined by what I can do. So what is it that I can do? So these are the affirmations you need to keep telling yourself. I understand if on a particular day you're very sad, you're very depressed, go with it. I wouldn't say, no, don't be depressed even for a single day. No, it happens. So it's very common, and it's very natural that you feel depressed. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to go to school. It's very common. So 1 or 2 days, it's okay. Give yourself that time. Like I said, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, but keep affirming. It's not my fault. I am not defined by what some idiot did to me. I am defined by what I can do. I am defined by the songs that I sing. I'm defined by the music that. Are we getting late? And the time, yeah.
No, yeah.
So
But
affirmations. Any number of affirmations you constantly keep giving yourself. So that will help you.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
No, ma'am. I don't see any other questions.
Any other
And
questions?
any other questions from the audience?
Anybody would like to ask anything?
And yes, Kamudi has also said that if you feel it is going out of your hands, and if you don't have like a support system,
Yeah.
see a professional. So
Yeah,
that is an important step.
yeah, very important. You can meet a professional.
So I
That
don't
normally
see
in
any
our
other questions,
society,
ma'am.
that is the last resort we go to. See
Yes,
a
ma'am.
counselor, that is the last resort. Generally, when you tell people also, you see a counselor, no, I'm not mad. I don't have mad. That is a defining thing, you know. So professional help is always available. You can go in schools. Nowadays, you have at every place, you have counselors. Institutions, academies, everywhere you have counselors. Yes, definitely. Anything else anybody would? I hope you got the gist. I mean, I answered your questions, what
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had in mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
but your posters thing is really wonderful. You must go ahead and do it, because I frankly believe that mindset should change. No amount
Yes,
of punishment, no amount of, laws, IPC sections, whatever amendments they make, if the mindset does not change, things will not change. So mindset will change only with awareness campaigns. It
yes,
will
ma'am.
not show, but it will. That in the long run, that is what will change. So go ahead with
Yes,
your
ma'am.
posters. It will be wonderful. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. There are a few questions, but
Yeah.
I think we won't have time to take them up now.
Yeah. Now, I
We
can
will
answer
probably
them.
have
I
another
will give
session.
you. Yeah, we'll have another session, or I can, by mail or WhatsApp, you can send me the questions. I'll answer them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Just a minute, ma'am. How can we deal with systemic neglect, especially when we are actively trying to retaliate? As
Yes,
in,
systemic
like how
neglect
the
is.
system itself, yes, like the patriarchy itself is neglecting these issues. How do we try and deal with this issue when it is a systemic problem and not something
Yes.
on which is the onus of an individual?
It is 100% a systemic problem. Like I said, male dominance. They are given the impression that, a male can dominate over a woman. It has been accepted, internalized, and we go with it day in and day out, whether we like it or not. And that's why I said mindsets have to change. And that can happen only in a very slow manner through awareness campaigns. However much we try to keep telling, like I said, any number of, has domestic violence stopped because we have laws in place? Have sexual assault stopped because we have laws in place, strict laws in place? They're continuing. So mindsets need to be changed. Mindsets will change only through awareness campaign. So my favorite thing is each one teach one. Catch hold of one person, like for example, people working around us who are subject to patriarchy, try and tell them. That is how we can do our bit. Systemic neglect is always there. We need to, again, it goes into a very long conversation about government, policies, acts and laws and everything. But then this is what we have internalized. I said male dominance is there. You're right, absolutely. And that is the main reason all this is happening. This toxicity in relationship is all because of patriarchy and male dominance.
Yes.
So awareness campaigns, that's the only way.
Thank you.
To change
This
mindsets.
is a really insightful session. And you also helped us understand how we can take care of ourselves. Just like how you said, we need to be kind to ourselves first.
First, be kind to yourself.
Keep taking care of ourselves.
Look in the mirror every morning. Tell yourself a loving thing. Tell yourself a loving thing. It need not be about your looks. You sing very well. There is no singer like you. Tell yourself that. Well, would you not tell your friend? Would you not tell your best friend to pep her up? So why don't you pep yourself up? Pep yourself up. So we have no, that's what I said, we lose our self-esteem. We don't believe ourselves. Somebody else should tell me. That's why share it with a friend. who's ready to empathize with you, who's ready to build your confidence. And also tell yourself. We should learn to listen to ourselves and believe in ourselves when we say. Look in the mirror and say it. Okay, say one loving thing to yourself every day
Yes, ma'am.
to
That
build
is
your own
really
confidence. Yeah. Try it. Actually, it may sound very frivolous, and how can you stand in front of the mirror and say, "Oh, you have a beautiful smile?" But do try it. It will build up. You will feel so nice about it. You see.
yes, ma'am. I'll try this right today,
Yeah.
from
You
today,
must try. You
because it
must try
sounds
every
very
day in the morning.
promising.
And affirmations. You can say affirmations every 1 hour for every small thing you're doing. If you're starting from home and you're going to the bus stand, I will not let it affect my emotional well-being today. I will take care. But even if something happens, even if he calls me names, I will not let it affect me. Affirmations, you keep telling yourself. And if it does happen, it's not me. It's not my character. He doesn't know me. I don't know him. How can he talk about me like that? Why should I care? Do we care when somebody says something? What does he know about me? In the same way. So you have to keep telling yourself. You have to keep giving yourself these affirmations. You do it at every stage. Like I said, bit by bit, step by step, you need to create your own self-care routine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
So that is my self-care today. It is my self-care promise today that I will tell one thing each day
One
about
loving
myself
thing
that I love.
every day. Yes, one loving thing. Even if suppose you are in the habit of making a cup of tea for your mother every day. So tell yourself, Jaina, you make a cup of tea for your mom every day. Wow, what a nice thing. Please tell yourself that. It builds your confidence. It builds your self-esteem. You will not allow people to trample over you in every facet of life.
Very true.
Okay?
Very, very important point, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
important. Yeah.
I hope those of all who had listened to ma'am's talk also please make your own self-care promise today.
Yes,
Because
yes.
self-care is something you need to keep doing each and every day. Not just once when you feel something is wrong or when you're feeling good, but keep doing it each and every day. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much, Amina ma'am. It was really pleasant having you here.
Thank you for the opportunity. Take care.
And
Any
we think
questions,
we'll
you can
have.
WhatsApp me or you can mail,
Yes, ma'am.
whatever. I will answer them. Okay? Thank you. I
Yes,
hope
ma'am.
everybody
Thank you.
felt benefited by the session. Take care then.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. See you
Thank you,
all.
ma'am.
Bye. Bye.